What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and let's get straight into things. So hopefully you watched yesterday's video where I outlined how I wanted to see price trade down into this range right here, 4-hour fair value gap on the on dollar, and also into this bullish order block. And you can see that price delivered just as we anticipated on the back of CPI, and has came back inside its range and has closed above the sell side liquidity, which I originally expected to get targeted. Another thing to take note of is on the daily, and I don't know why I didn't bring our attention to this yesterday, was the fair value gap. There is a fair value gap right here. So again, there's reason as to why price wanted to come and fill this range. And now that it's done that, we can start to look for higher prices as we start to enter the rest of the week. As I don't expect or anticipate price to need to come back down here, as I'm still bullish up until this weekly fair value gap high. So if you haven't watched yesterday's video yet, do go and check it out. It will give you a lot more context, and you'll see how I pretty much called dollar and euro very nicely. So yeah, we're going to continue. We're going to go to the 4-hour. All of these PD arrays are on the 4-hour, right? This one's on the daily. So there's a few I need to get rid of. Current interval and below. Current interval and below. 4-hour. This can be 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And then that way, when we go to the daily, it's just a little bit more clean. And you can see it again, we came down, filled this fair value gap, traded into a bullish order block. And you can see how we've closed above this imbalance, this volume imbalance right here. What's nice to see is this original imbalance, which I spoke about at the beginning of the week, has now been filled, as in price is closed inside of it. So I'm happy with that. And the fact that it's left this open is very typical and bullish of price. Moving into tomorrow, we can actually use this discount, this volume imbalance to act bullishly, as in price shouldn't need to drop back below this. So we can see this as a level of support, and if that gets violated, we know that price will continue lower. However, I'm looking for this to provide support. So we'll use that almost as an indicator moving into Thursday and Friday as to whether we can anticipate higher prices, which is what I wanted to see at this point of the week. So let's go down to the 4-hour. And like I said, you can see how we drop down, ran out sell side liquidity here, traded into this bullish order block high right here, which is also a breaker on the 1-hour, and we'll talk about that in a bit. And then this is a 4-hour fair value gap right here that we've traded through. We did overshoot it a little bit, but on the back of news that's anticipated, and like I said, price came right back inside its range and has already started to spike higher. So now I'm looking to get back above this Sunday opening price right here. So now let's head down to the 1-hour, and I have my daily dividers here, which will also help. So let's get the next daily divider marked out right here. And this is Thursday, and yeah, you can see how price turned inside of the fair value gaps, touched into this bullish order block. I'll show you that now. Traded down into it. Look at that respect, and then price has aggressively traded higher, taking out this high. So I do believe that this is a change in state of delivery, as in this is indicating to me that price should be able to rally on higher quite comfortably. Again, this imbalance, I don't really want to see price drop below it. I'd like to see this fair value gap left open, because that would then act as a breakaway gap and more reason as to why we want to see price continue to rally. So now, moving into Thursday, I'm looking for this Thursday high to get targeted for buy-side liquidity. If that gets taken, then moving into Friday, it'll be pretty easy targeting in terms of expecting that Tuesday high to also get taken. So let's get these marked out. That's where I want to see price trade. I'm looking for us to get back above this Sunday opening price, because you can see we're in quite a deep discount right now. But it all depends on how this imbalance holds up. But generally speaking, and ideally, it would just hold price. But it's just nice to see how we turned quite nicely inside of here. So let's go to the 15-minute. We'll take a closer look. And you can see our price just consolidating a little bit. And again, I'm anticipating us to find support. This is a breaker from this low to this high, because we have a low, we have a high, we have a low, and then we have this placement. So currently we're just consolidating the breaker, which isn't ideal and isn't the best for price, because ideally breakers are just touched and then left, so to speak. But I'm looking moving into tomorrow to see price rally, and once this high is taken out from Thursday, I'll be very comfortable in expecting price to run for that Tuesday high and then eventually that Monday high, because remember, I'm looking for price to get up into this premium. So yeah, very nice day, very beautiful delivery again. As I said, you can see there's an optimal entry right here at 10:30. Got a low, high, lower, low displacement. Came down, fair value gap coupled with a breaker. Go long, let off your stops above here, and it took out the Asia highs as well which is very typical. So when we do our back testing on, I might have to do the back testing session on Saturday, to be honest. But when we do the back testing, we'll be looking at all of this and paying close attention, because it's been quite a nice week in terms of delivery. And here's the 1 minute. There's not really much to go off here. I am looking at this bullish. I do like the look of this, as in I'd like to think that price can hold this level. So let's get the open of this marked out. You can see we just tapped into it. I'm happy for price to drop down into that again, moving into the new day. It might want to run out these stops and completely fill this imbalance. And you can see how that imbalance is at the bottom of the volume imbalance. So then I'd like to think that price could turn at that point. So we'll get that marked out just as a point, a reference point as to where we may anticipate price to reverse. So let's make that orange, or make it black. And don't get me wrong, guys, if we drop below this volume imbalance, this red box, if we find ourselves below it, then for the rest of the week, I'll be heavily bearish and I'll be expecting these lows to get taken. The only reason I'm bullish is, one, we got the reaction we expected away from this orange level, which was a bullish order block. We filled a volume imbalance on the daily and traded away from it aggressively. We ran out relative equal highs. We're bullish on the high time frame because we want to see this get traded to, and on Wednesday, and we're still below that Sunday opening price. Now, don't get me wrong, we did rally above it on Monday. However, we expect the low to be made on Tuesday or Wednesday. I would like to think that this is the low and that we can start to see quite large expansion. Now, let's take a look at what high impact news we have tomorrow. Bear with me. And tomorrow we have jobless claims. Now, I do like trading jobless claims and retail sales as well. So yeah, it should be some nice high impact news. I generally speaking, with jobless claims and things like that, it is usually a pretty simple setup. There's been times I've traded this multiple times. So again, I'll be looking for longs. Assuming we're still above this red level, I'll be looking for longs on dollar with shorts on the pairs, with the expectation to see some nice expansion to run up into our premium PD arrays here, and then that Monday high here, and then this level, that blue level, remember, is the top. Ooh. That blue level is the top of that weekly fair value gap. So I want to see price trying to finish that, and then moving into the new week, we can start thinking about potential reversals. So that's everything on dollar. Let's take one more look at the 15 minutes. Not really much for me to say, but just looking at how fast and how quickly price moved away from this discount is showing a willingness to want to go higher, isn't it? It's saying, right, I don't want to spend much time down here. And then we also have this massive inversion fair value gap that's also formed. So if you look between this low and this high and drag that through, this is now an inversion fair value gap. So the lowest price should even be able to trade, technically speaking, and based off algorithmic theory, is ideally the 50%. Any lower than that and it means something else. So what does that mean? That means if we're going to be trading, we can think about putting our stop loss here, because we know that if it drops below here, it's likely we're on the wrong side of the market and it will run out these lows. But as far as I'm concerned, we should be able to see continued upwards price action and momentum in general. So, but it's nice to see how we grabbed those stops and, like I said, got out very quickly. So now I'm looking to see, can we start to trade higher for the rest of the week. So I'm going to keep this on here just so that, again, reference when I'm looking at my charts, I'd like to have that visible. We can drag that right through. And now we have an inversion fair value gap from the 15 minute that we expect price to be able to find support within, because we traded on the downside, filled it on the upside, and now we're just consolidating around it. So the very lowest I want to see price trade is here, and there just happens to be a little volume imbalance there as well that price may want to try and attack. So that's going to be everything on dollar. I hope that all makes sense. Let's now head on to GBP USD, see how that did. And you'll see similarly, pound overshot our target. So this was the original fair value gap on the daily, which I wanted to see pound trade to. Yes, we traded to it, but we traded through it. And then you can see we traded right up into this bearish order block right here, tapped it, and then look at the reaction. Again, displacement to the downside, and now we're just retracing back inside of the range. Now this buy side liquidity has been swept, so this should be able to bump. I'd like to think that price, if it rallies up into this, which it likely will, in line with dollar dropping a little bit more, price will be able to bump that and then use that as resistance. Now let's get this daily imbalance marked out. Well, let's go to the daily first. And let's take a look at a few things. So this sell side liquidity is still a target for price. You can see how we traded up. Obviously, let me get rid of that, And then where's this imbalance from? It's on the 4 hour. So although we've traded through it on the upside and closed on the downside, this should not act as an inversion fair value gap, in that if we rally back into it, I want to see it provide resistance for price. So I'm happy for price to rally, maybe create the high of the day tomorrow around here, but I don't want to see price trade through it. We should be able to find some strong resistance to send price into the discount, and so we can start looking for this south side liquidity to get traded to. Let's go to the 1 hour, and you'll see how we're just above this Sunday opening price. You can see, and again, look at how price is delivering. Very high resistance. It's taken a long time for price to get up here on pound. From here to here, it's taken 3 days, which is crazy. So we're seeing very high resistance movement, and then when price wants to drop, we see it cut down quite nicely. And remember, we're bearish on the higher time frame, so I'd expect that on the back of news, we should be able to continue to drop quote unquote quite nicely. This is the breaker I spoke about. You can see we tapped into it here, we tapped into it here on the back of the wick, and then we rallied right up into this bearish order block, and it looks like it's doing its job, so long as this imbalance can continue to provide that resistance. So let's get rid of a few things. What is this red box? This red box is an inversion fair value gap. So one, you see, I did mark that out yesterday because I was talking about how price is gyrating around it. Ideally, I want to drop back below it. I'm not going to leave that. I'm not going to get that marked out for now. Get rid of that as well. And then let's take a look at the 15-minute, and you'll see how price grabbed those stops, filled this imbalance in the premium above the Sunday opening price. Now I'm looking for expansion on the downside because I want to see if price can continue lower into our pounds discount. So let's get the daily divider out. I'll put that right here. There's a Sunday opening price. You can see our price displaced into that. And you can see price just kind of wandering. Now this isn't the best price action right now, but again, this imbalance is the very highest that allow price to go. Any higher than that, whole different story. But as far as I'm concerned, we should be able to see a continuation to the downside. And then you guessed it, I'm targeting daily lows. So we have the Monday low already as a target. Now we have Tuesday's low as a target, and we also have that Wednesday low as a target as well. So let's see if price can take out. Once it takes out that Wednesday low, to be honest, it'll probably just keep running, and it'll be easy, easy trades in terms of getting on shorts to our original target of these lows. I am going to go down to the 5-minute, just get a better look at how price traded. Not the cleanest, but you can see again, look at how they treat the Sunday level. Tapped it once, twice, rallied, taken out buy stops. So buy side liquidity is accumulated. Now we need to offset those positions where in the sell side, and there can be lots of people. There's accumulation stage 1, accumulation stage 2, accumulation stage 3, and then they're likely, I'd like to think that they're selling into this, and they'll be selling again into it for us to then drop lower. That's my ideal. But again, if we get above that, whole different story, and then we'll keep rallying, and this is a reversal that I'm just not seeing. But the only reason I'll say this again, the only reason I'm doubting that is because I want to see dollar fill this volume imbalance. Yes, we're trading very close to it, but I want to see us fill it, because this is a weekly imbalance. There's no reason that we shouldn't be able to fill this imbalance completely and trade into this bearish. This is a bearish order block right here, that range. So let's see if price can get up into there. So here's Euro. Euro delivered quite clean as well. Again, I draw our attention to this in yesterday's video. Make sure to turn on post notification, guys, so you don't miss my videos. But this week's been very accurate in terms of our expectations. Probably way more accurate than I was anticipating. But nonetheless, fair value gap, price, yes, we wicked through it. Yes, we overran it. Wicks do the damage. Wicks always do the damage. That's why you have to be careful. But nonetheless, we reached our target, and then what happened? We left it straight away, closing back below this south side liquidity, and volume is still below this bearish order block as well. So we're seeing a level of resistance in terms of volume. Here's the 4 hour, and you can see how price dropped and then ran it, and then not beautiful displacement to the downside, and now we have a breaker. We've got high, low, these last time close candles, expansion to the upside, filling this fair value gap, and now we've left it. So now I'm watching this basically. I want to see pound, I want to see euro stay very shallow, as in I want it to stay within this range in terms of creating its high. I don't really want to see euro rally any more than that. It could take out this buy side liquidity one more time, and I know we ran it here, but I mean, like, it could still see that as a target, so it might accumulate more stops above there. So that's something to take note of. Ideally, it stays within this breaker, because that would be very big hint to me that price is going to drop quite aggressively lower. Let's go to the 1 hour, And you'll see we're just kind of in a consolidation. But again, beautiful displacement, high, low, high, high. So that's why I'm paying attention to this. It's just that we were already trading around that. So it depends how shallow price stays during the Asian session and moving into London. The highest I'd want to see price trade would be 50% off here. So if we're going to be trading this, I'd be looking for shorts with a stop loss above here. And then you guessed it, I'm looking for daily lows to get targeted. First, that Wednesday low, and then once we're below that Sunday low, things will be a lot more slick and, you know, streamlined in terms of our targeting. And we can look to trade into this low right here. And this is, again, assuming we manage to continue to find resistance, because this is a consolidation. We're looking to find resistance in this consolidation and see a continuation lower in line with dollar, wanting potentially moving higher. So let's get these delineated. We'll also get that Sunday opening price, because again, once we're below that Sunday opening price one more time for the rest of the week, they should bump it, and we should be able to use that to expand on lower like a trampoline. Here's a 15-minute. There's the original consolidation. Run stops. Price drops aggressively. And now we're kind of just meandering around this breaker that we have going on here. So that's why I'm paying close attention. Beautiful relative equal lows below here, engineered. This low and this low. So there's going to be stops and reason for us to run those stops. And remember, we're bearish on I'm bearish on the higher time frame. That the higher time frame is what's driving my bias. If this week plays out nicely, so if Thursday is nice and then Friday's nice, then the backtesting video is going to be really interesting. The live backtesting session is going to be really interesting, because we'll see. I'll be able to explain more fully and more detailed how I'm able to anticipate such weeks and work our way around it. So make sure to turn on those post notifications, hit subscribe, drop a comment. I do need to get back to you guys, but nonetheless, 5 minute. Again, beautiful displacement. Little optimal entry here at 10:30. Go short, fair value gap. There's a mitigation, high, low, lower, high. So this is where you want to be looking for divergence, because I believe at the same point, yeah. So you can see how euro was dropping lower, whereas dollar took out that low. This was a sign that euro is going to continue lower, and that dollar's just accumulating stops. So then we make for displacement, pull back into the range, fair value gap, go short, stop loss above here, and then where we aim for these relative equal lows, and price drop nicely into that, and now we're just consolidating. But again, I'd like to think that we can stay within this range. So something to think about, food for thought. Here's the 1 minute, and you can see this is what between 8:30 and 9:30 is very typical for price to consolidate. And it wasn't until 9:30 that you can see we actually saw price start to drop off. Time and then price, guys, and I'll talk more on that in the live stream that I get done. But yeah, I'm happy for price to carry on rallying. This is a nice bearish order block from this low to this high. It'd be nice to think that price can bump this and go no higher. Don't get me wrong, we've already traded into it, but there's a nice fair value gap up there, so it might want to maybe create the high tomorrow, or in London, or in Asia, sorry. You might want to use that and then trade on lower off the back of it. Any higher than that, because if it trades higher than this bearish order block, then, you know, to me that's a change in the sale of delivery, and we'll likely run for these highs. It's as simple as that. But ideally, it'll bump it, and we can start targeting our Wednesday lows. So that's going to be everything, guys. I hope that all makes sense. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list. And yeah, very interesting day to day. And again, look at how accurate we can be when we try. Now, don't get me wrong, calling the charts like how I'm doing and trading are two separate skills, which is why you need to make sure to join the live stream. It should be Saturday. Keep an eye on the community posts and join the Discord for updates. But yeah, that's going to be everything. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.